This program contains video that may be disturbing to some viewers. Discretion is advised.
Tonight, on Most Daring, from distracted drivers to road-raging renegades, they all cause horror on the highway. First up, a cop pursuing a wanted man becomes guilty of a major break-in. Plus, a roadside pullover becomes a blindside runover. And a liquored-up lush plays in traffic, tempting a hard-hitting fate. And later, a street biker running sprints on a highway cloverleaf gets flattened. These are the most heart-stopping moments ever caught on tape. True stories of real people in real danger. This is Most Daring, Horror on the Highway.
Los Angeles, California. A gangbanger and his posse are trapped like rats in a maze of city streets.
Oh, an explosion of sparks!
Yet the stone-cold hoodlums still think they can elude a squad of LA's finest. Not to mention the all-seeing eye in the sky.
This guy is not slowing down.
The clueless wheelman sideswipes parked cars and goes toe-to-toe with an 18-wheeler.
Oh no, real close call right there.
The lead officer decides to nail these punks at the next turn. His move backfires.
Oh no, the squad car went right through that building.
The cruiser tries to match the thugs' hard right, but instead torpedoes a furniture store. His colleagues decide to back off, hoping their boys from the hood will make a break on foot. The plan works. The driver bails out,
He's on foot.
thinking he's home free. But officers spring a surprise on the rat and pounce. Thankfully, no one was hurt by these menaces to society. But one cop will have to shake off the dust after literally hitting the wall. Madison, Wisconsin. Officer Patrick Lau pulls up to a fully loaded donut wagon. But this isn't a cop's dream come true. This truck is stolen.
302, I'm out with it. Pick it up. On University.
When the thief spots the cruiser, he panics and makes a run for it. And with the rear door still open wide, he lays down a high-calorie minefield.
Stop stopping. The back of the truck is open.
The debris that was falling from the truck during the chase was everything from the donuts to the racks that the donuts were on, the boxes that contained the donuts.
Backup officers try to close the lid on the fugitive doughboy. Aaron Chapin takes the lead, and he's already dreading the police report that will list him as a donut chaser.
Can somebody get spikes out?
I think in the past year there have only been 2 or 3 pursuits, and I thought that it was slightly ironic that I was in a pursuit with a donut truck.
Ironic or not, this hot pursuit is about to send a chill down Chapin's spine.
He came to a stop. I saw his reverse lights come on. I saw Officer Lau coming up from behind me and knew that there was nowhere for me to go.
He just hit my squad, 1050.
I could have been seriously injured.
With Chapin out of the chase, the call is made for more units. Finally, the crispy culprit is bagged.
The vehicle is stopped right now. The driver's still out at gunpoint.
In the wake of his cholesterol caper, Warren White Lightning pleads no contest to a host of charges and faces years in prison. For police who took part in this dangerous cliche, nabbing this donut bandit was especially sweet. Officers spend their careers responding to and trying to prevent horror on the highway. But as these 4 incidents show, sometimes the horror comes looking for them. In Circleville, Ohio, a trooper assists teenagers whose SUVs skidded off an icy road. There's no crime here, but that doesn't mean there's no danger. Another car loses control on the slick asphalt and slams into the cruiser. The spinning sedan misses the officer and one of the teens by less than a foot. The vehicle finally slides to a halt in the middle of the highway. Amazingly, everyone is okay. But bad weather isn't always to blame for these roadside run-ins. A motorcycle cop stops to help a stalled truck on a bridge, when suddenly, a charging biker isn't watching the road. He blasts into the officer's ride, nearly catching the policeman in the wreck. The absent-minded rider lands in the hospital for his mistake. In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a trooper issuing a citation gets his own ticket punched. Riding the white line, an SUV nails the cop in the back, sandwiching him against the other car. The officer staggers out of traffic in unbelievable pain. But in a huge stroke of luck, the woman he pulled over is an emergency medical technician. She's able to treat him until help can arrive. The driver of the minivan is still at large after this inadvertent drive-by. But run-ins like this aren't always an accident. In Hillsboro, Oregon, motorcycle officer Clint Schurz is keenly aware of how deadly traffic stops are.
I know that more police officers die by cars than bullets.
Standing just inches from oncoming traffic, his worst nightmare comes out of nowhere. A reckless speeder slams into Clint's bike, sweeping the officer off his feet.
It happened so quickly, it was as if I didn't even know what happened. I opened up my eyes, I was face down on the lane.
As Clint lies in pain, a motorist gives him some chilling news about the driver who hit him.
She said that she saw him, she knew what he was going to do. She goes, I knew he was going to hit you before he hit you.
Investigators haul the dangerous driver in for what appears to be a malicious attack.
I should have been killed. I mean, I shouldn't be here today, probably.
These traffic terrors prove the rule. When it comes to patrolling the streets, danger never takes a pit stop. Warsaw, Poland. A surveillance camera spots a drunken man taking on midday traffic. The tipsy delinquent squares off in front of drivers, like a mad matador defying their charge. Some friends try pulling him back to the sidewalk, but he'll have none of it. He's out to prove his manhood, one way or another. The boozer drops his drawers for the commuters. It's not quite a toreador's red cape, but it'll do. He presents his bullseye to anyone who will look. Then he brandishes his sword with discouraging aplomb. Finally, officers arrive on the scene. But the lewd lush is determined to stage a grand finale. He shoves one of the cops. The battle spills back into the streets as he throws punches at his adversaries. Police swarm him and take him hard to the ground. The brawler is soon cuffed. His car fighting day's over. All it took was some liquid courage to make him think he was a one-man wrecking crew. But the wasted traffic jam was soon exposed as nothing more than a two-bit troublemaker. At a calm intersection, traffic cameras are rolling as a tragedy takes shape. A couple and their child cross the street. Then, without warning, a pickup is slammed by a freight truck that runs a red light. The small vehicle is smashed against the grille and careens right toward the frightened family, who leap clear by mere inches. The pickup is obliterated, but both of the drivers are okay. And thankfully, this family outing wasn't done in. This dessert shop in St. John, Indiana is just a quick pit stop off the interstate. But one hungry customer is about to bring her highway hotfoot straight to their front door. The driver, an elderly ice cream enthusiast, pulls in to get her fix. But when she mistakes the gas pedal for the brake, her careening sedan becomes a battering ram. Working in the back, owner Kevin Hitzeman initially thinks the crash was just a few dropped plates.
In my restaurant, it's common for people to drop things, and every time they drop things, I see dollar signs. But then it got louder, and I thought, oh my gosh, something bigger happened.
The distracted motorist takes out the entire wall along with the furniture and tops it off with a sprinkling of broken glass.
It stuns you. I yelled for my fiance to dial 911. I had no idea if this poor lady was hurt.
She's uninjured, but clearly shaken by her double dip of destruction. Kevin is convinced the damage to life and limb could have been much worse.
Had she come there just 5 minutes later, the chances of somebody sitting in those chairs would have been 90%.
Hopefully the next time this oldster needs to satisfy her soft-serve sweet tooth, she'll choose a store that already has a drive-thru. Cleveland, Ohio. Squad cars pursue a minivan that's been terrorizing traffic on the freeway. What cops don't know is that the 90-mile-an-hour menace is just a 12-year-old kid. On rain-slick streets, the preteen weaves in between cars with reckless abandon. He crosses way over the line and nearly clips a pickup truck. But when the pubescent perp runs off-road one too many times, his tire explodes. The juvie can't begin to handle the steering. He ricochets off the rail, then hits it again. Finally, his mom's trashed ride gives out. It sputters to a stop. The sixth grader surrenders, but officers aren't taking any chances. They approach with guns drawn and discover the terrible tweener is more scared than they are. He still has to face his parents.
What are you thinking?
And based on the way he abused the family vehicle, he might be grounded until he can legally drive. Fostoria, Ohio. Tow truck operator Dan Peters knows that snowstorms like these wreak havoc on the highway. But as he pulls one roadside casualty from the ditch, he suddenly finds himself getting more customers than he can handle. Despite a trooper's best efforts to slow down drivers, one motorist hits the brakes too late and veers straight toward Dan.
The patrolman said, "Look out." I just kind of looked up real quick. My first instinct was just jump out of the way, because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Dan is lucky to be alive. Just moments earlier, he was working directly in the path of the oncoming car.
If I would have been just a few, seconds slower, I probably wouldn't be here.
When bad weather unleashes motorway mayhem, even those assigned to help others have to watch out for the unexpected. Mission, Texas. It's a code red emergency on city streets. Morning commuters hit the brakes as an ambulance tears through town. But the driver behind the wheel is no paramedic. He's Pablo Morales, a man suspected of spousal abuse.
We have a message come through our system advising us that an ambulance has just been stolen.
Corporal Ruben Gaitan tails the hulking ride. He knows it should be taking people to the ER, but this guy would rather send people there.
We try to box him in so it doesn't go any further. The subject all of a sudden accelerates. He hits two of our units.
Stopping a rig with a top speed of 160 won't be easy, especially since other motorists have no idea the EMT is really an imposter.
He's going through intersections, going through lights. Very, very scary at that point.
Officer Gaitan knows the ambulance is too big for him to ram, at least not without hobbling at first. He makes the call for spikes. Moments later, traffic funnels the vehicle right into the snare. Morales fights to control his ride, while cruisers clamp him in a vise.
They pinned him between the two vehicles and just drove him off the road.
Finally, the ambulance limps to a stop. Surrounded by a squad of armed men, the hard-charging car thief wisely surrenders. In the aftermath of his reckless flight, Morales is sentenced to 5 years behind bars. Thankfully, he didn't turn a vehicle designed to save lives into the ultimate death trap. In Taiwan, a political demonstration turns into a deadly driving exhibition. A wayward delivery man accidentally rolls into the middle of a heated protest. Immediately mobbed by reporters, he panics and hits the gas, mowing down a slew of videographers. Now it's police who rush the driver. The freaked-out wheelman is pulled from the cab. But the crowd makes a shocking discovery. A journalist has been brutally run over. The demonstrators tip the vehicle on its side. But the wounded victim's head is actually stuck between the hot metal pipes. The injured photog is finally pulled free. Luckily, he lives to tell the story of this political rally that became a human demolition derby. A neighborhood wakes up to find a water main broken and their streets flooded. Emergency crews warn drivers to steer clear of the danger. But hey, what do they know? Ignoring the many warnings, a woman in a hurry cruises straight into the mother of all sinkholes. Bystanders give her an earful, then begrudgingly try to pull the waterlogged vehicle from the pit. Seconds later, she's out of her car, but realizes that she forgot her purse. It looks like she also forgot about the massive sinkhole that just swallowed her car. She plunges into the murky water, then dog paddles back to shore. Finally on solid ground, she can only watch as her car reenacts a scene from the Titanic. Firemen soon arrive and enlist a construction crew to help hoist the sunken sedan. The driver's thankful to have her car back, if not a little embarrassed about the day her senseless detour left her hung out to dry. Highway surveillance cameras spot a car that just blew a tire in the fast lane. Fearing they were sitting ducks, the driver and her 2 daughters alertly fled to the median. And not a moment too soon. A speeding truck slams into the back of their compact. It ruptures the car's gas tank, igniting a fearsome fireball. The driver of the pickup stumbles to safety on the side of the road, fortunate to be alive. And with the family's wrecked car reduced to cinders, they know it was only a matter of seconds that separated them from certain death. Syracuse, Utah. Trooper James Martin races through traffic to catch a minivan that's been all over the interstate.
By this time, I could see the minivan, and it was going back and forth between the travel lanes and the emergency lane, and I could actually see her slumped over.
The driver is a diabetic with low blood sugar. She's unconscious, her foot on the gas pedal. The vehicle careens toward an embankment at an off-ramp, and the officer can't stop the inevitable.
I told dispatch she's gonna hit the sign. There's nothing I could do. I'm just gonna have to wait and see what happens.
The minivan slams into an exit sign before bottoming out in a snowy ditch.
In the median. Yeah, start medical.
Trooper Martin races to the wrecked van and discovers a shocking detail.
Popped open the passenger door and the sliding door. There's 2 kids in there. I had no idea there was 2 children in there. I think it was a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
The children are okay, and paramedics are on their way to help the diabetic driver.
It could have ended up a lot worse, but thankfully it didn't.
It's a shocking reminder that horror on the highway can happen to anyone at any time. A slippery highway is about to claim its latest victim. 2 charter buses have already collided, causing a huge chain reaction. The pileup leaves the freeway looking like the parking lot of a body shop. Traffic is finally getting back to normal when suddenly a rubbernecker blazes onto the scene, ramming another vehicle at full speed. The victim of the earlier accident just barely jumps out of the way in time. Passers-by help pull the injured from the still smoking wreck. They learned the hard way that when you don't pay attention, crashes can be contagious. Los Angeles, California. A car thief goes on a wild tear through the choked streets of this concrete jungle. With his massive ride, he turns bully against other cars and even threatens to mow down terrified pedestrians. He thinks he owns the road, but the road's about to own him. He loses control of the SUV, nearly taking out an unsuspecting motorist. Unfortunately, the dangerous rebel isn't down for the count. As his epic reign of terror nears the 1-hour mark, commuters all over the city are caught in a panic. One civilian is nearly crushed by the barreling behemoth. But police are ready with spike strips, and the suspect falls right into the trap. With his tires punctured, the defiant driver changes gears from flight mode into attack mode. The man taunts cops to get closer, then rams them in reverse. Police quickly pull their weapons. The show of force finally does the trick. The man surrenders, and the drawn-out hell ride draws to a close. With an infinite tangle of avenues in front of him, This reckless renegade put an entire city in peril. But cops matched the road warrior turn for turn and returned peace to the streets. Kent County, Michigan. On slick, snowy roads, a car thief tries to give officers the slip. But his driving skills don't match his arrogance. He skids into an embankment and spins headfirst into his pursuers. The wild suspect hammers a cop. Then floors it in reverse, right into a pole.
Because he had a four-wheel drive vehicle, he was able to back up, drive himself out of the snow-covered ditch, and then continue northbound.
Despite his clunky maneuvers, the offender is now feeling invincible.
Even though the roads were snow-covered and wet, the suspect amazingly was able to reach speeds up to 100 miles per hour.
But his overconfidence and his recklessness soon do him in. As the cocky wheelman hits a turn, he loses control and rides up onto a pile of snow. He ditches his four-wheel drive in favor of his own 2 feet.
After he crashed, he began running through the field on foot in an additional attempt to elude the police.
He doesn't get far. The perp thought he could skate these icy streets to freedom. Instead, his chilling flight lands him in the cooler. Nothing can trigger horror on the highway as fast or as frightening as a big rig gone wild. In Ohio, a wet freeway is suddenly hit by a tornado of terror. A semi skids across the drenched pavement, hurtling over a median, and ramming through a fence into oncoming lanes. As approaching cars slam on their brakes, the 18-wheeled missile thunders through another barrier and over an embankment. Its rear end lifts 6 feet off the ground as the massive rig plummets into a ditch. The calamitous crash was triggered by a jackknifing delivery truck. Thankfully, no one was hurt when a simple downpour nearly caused a wave of destruction. But too often, trucks in trouble take others with them. On this quiet city street, a bad driver starts a nasty chain reaction. A passenger car loses control and T-bones a rig in an intersection. The tractor-trailer rockets across the street and obliterates 2 parked cars. Fearing the worst, the trucker races to check on the other driver. But incredibly, the motorist is unharmed. But not every large vehicle crash goes so well as on this Kirby Mountain disaster. The hulking van can't slow down on the steep downgrade. When the operator hits the brakes, it's too late, and he skids out. The vehicle spins almost a full circle and collapses on its side with such force that the driver is thrown from the cab injured but alive. It's just another reminder that when road conditions are bad, even the mightiest vehicles are at risk. And when that happens, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Travelers Rest, South Carolina. A loaded driver is about to take the phrase blind drunk to a whole new level. Distracted by the cuffs on his tail, the man slams into a stalled truck, crumpling his hood up over the windshield. Amazingly, the collision barely slows him down.
Man, I couldn't believe when his hood popped up like that and he just kept going. I thought for sure he was going to stop right there.
Now Officer Chris Gilbert can only watch as the sightless boozer turns each passing car into a potential head-on fatality. He makes a wide right turn, almost T-boning another motorist. Then he ricochets down residential streets, doing bank shots against the curbs.
I was hoping that he just wouldn't hit somebody and kill somebody and just try to stay with him until hopefully he would stop.
But in a night of bad decisions, he's about to make the worst one yet. He tumbles out of his moving car and right into Officer Gilbert's hands.
After he hit his head, he did try to stand up, like he was going to try to run, but I already got a hold of him by that point. He couldn't go anywhere.
And while the suspect's vision was impaired, much to Gilbert's surprise, his mouth is working just fine.
After I got the suspect handcuffed, he said, "Officer, I know I'm in trouble because I've been drinking." And not only had he been drinking, he's actually the third time he had been charged with driving under the influence.
Talmadge Almond is convicted of his third DUI and failure to comply. But he's lucky he wasn't seriously injured after his run-in with the law left him flying blind and seeing stars. On a busy highway interchange, street racing bikers play Russian roulette with other drivers. But one rider's number is about to be up. When he rounds the curve, he sees the white van and panics. He dumps his bike and skids straight into the path of a speeding car. He's crushed beneath both sets of wheels. The car bounces. Its full weight rolls over motorcycle and man. The biker is left in a crumpled heap in the fast lane. Fortunately, he'll survive. Despite turning this dangerous interchange into a fast turn to terror.
From busy interstates to rural backroads, wherever vehicles are on the move, there's danger around every turn. And no matter how careful you are, you'll never be completely safe from horror on the highway.